Greetings. Welcome to our show today on the Tesla Semi. We're at a place called Annapolis, Maryland. And before optimizing our show position, I wanted to give you a panoramic view of the park that sits across from the Naval Academy. And that way you can get a feel for the sounds and sights that you're hearing. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. One thing I was hoping to show you guys is that they have a number of sailors behind us that are doing sailing lessons, and you'll see boats going in a circle behind, but we can't, I think our range is too far out. I am going to remove my hat so you can see me. The problem we're having is ideal position for the sun is here, but the challenge is you can't see anything when I do that. So I will try to work with what we've got in front of us. So thanks once again for joining us. We like to do at least one show a week on the Tesla Semi. We actually have two shows kind of teed up. The first we'll do today that focuses on Freightways, kind of an industry publication in the freight environment, has actually pointed out that Tesla has a flaw in its strategy, and we kind of wanted to review that relative to the Semi. The next show we'll be doing focuses on the reaction of Cummins Engine Company to the threat that the Semi represents. So as you can see, I'm fighting the sun a little bit. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Thanks once again for joining us. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a repeat visitor, welcome back. We also want to thank our Patreon supporters. Your support is greatly appreciated and is duly noted. So, we scan the web on a regular basis to identify sort of new developments. I'm trying to put my eyes so you can see the sun isn't blocking, but again, it gives us, there's an in here that it gives us as your view rather than getting a chance to see the beautiful water views here in Annapolis. So what's going on is that one of the analysts that specializes in the field, who's a former trucker, pointed out that, the Tesla Semi may be great, but there's some noticeable flaws in Tesla's strategy. In particular, currently, what they were focusing on is the fact that there's little to no data that's more broadly available so that analysts could evaluate both the capability and potential of this vehicle. And the answer I have to that is absolutely the case. I'd like to now review how and why Tesla operates in this fashion. So there's an attorney in Silicon Valley. His name is William Abrams. He's a graduate of Stanford Law School, and I actually took a class from him because he's a corporate lawyer, having worked at a number of big firms in and around Silicon Valley. So one of Bill's focus of his practice is patent law. So I went to one or two, maybe 10 of his classes, and what we were learning about is a concept called patent portfolios. So what happens in Silicon Valley is that if you have something you've developed and it's patented, you can obviously spend the money on the patent law required, but next you have the problem of protecting that patent. So you can spend a huge amount of cash to sort of take those guys to court to try to get money if in fact they violate your patents. Well, I think you may have noticed that in the case of Tesla, there's been no effort by them to sue the folks at Rivian or at Lucid, despite the fact that many Tesla patents are being used there, much like the open patent process that Tesla had when it comes to other manufacturers. In particular, I wanted to note here that Tesla had elected to let 75% of their patents be open. They do have patents that are not open, but they haven't been aggressive in response. So the question that comes up is, well, if you do have patents, how do you protect the intellectual property? So I had a meeting with a couple of venture capitalists, this is about 6 years ago, and I asked them about, well, what about patenting your ideas? Should the money be going to get your stuff out to market first and then grow fast? Or should you be trying to leverage your patent portfolio to protect it from competitors? Well, his response was, the current norm of the Valley is simply avoid large amounts of money and time in patents, because there's kind of a new thing that's happened, which is that if you have a large patent portfolio like a Microsoft or an Oracle or Google, what you have is companies are either, like, for example, with Apple, when they bought Motorola, the reason they bought Motorola was partially because they wanted, some of that technology, but more importantly, they were after the Motorola patent portfolio so that if they got sued by competitors, they'd be able to protect themselves. So what's happening is that the large patent holders, even if they don't hold patents, they will actually partner with entities that have bought up large number of patents, and they will leverage those patents as a way to limit or destroy those who are trying to put patents on their technology. So this is an illustration of why it is the Tesla Semi is sort of in a secret mode currently. Yes, they do have patents on some of the technology they've developed. No, they don't have patents on all of it. So as a result, I heard one of our viewers talk about the blitzkrieg strategy that Tesla is now pursuing when it comes to the Tesla Semi. And basically what this is about is the fact that they have new things that they've developed, and the marketplace is going to catch up sometime in the next 3 to 5 years. The strategy, though, right now is, can Tesla get in a large enough installed base that even if competitors finally figure out everything they're doing, they'll be so far behind, and the marketplace will be established under Tesla's leadership that they don't have to think about it anymore. So as a result, Tesla's moved into this stealth mode where they're saying nothing about what they're doing and allowing competitors to spend a lot of resources trying to figure out and catch up. So when it comes to Freightways and references to research organizations that don't have the data that they can use to evaluate Tesla and sell that data to competitors, that's what's going on right now. So I looked at the number of vehicles in the United States that are being sold in that 18-wheeler space, and it turns out there's approximately 200,000 vehicles a year sold in that Class 8 18-wheeler category. Of those, it's obviously slim to none of them are electric vehicles currently, but the forecast is that Tesla will sell about 10,000 of the Tesla Semis this year, and then move on to next year to possibly selling the 50,000 that Elon has talked about. So is that a huge number? Well, if you multiply the US by, let's say, 4, that would cover European demand as well as China and then the rest of the world. That smells like about 1 million Class 8 semis a year are being sold globally. And Tesla's looking at a 50,000 number next year. And by the following year, their productive capacity, if they do the 50,000 next year, is somewhere in the 125,000 vehicles a year. And in theory, that should allow them to take half the market 3 years from now, something in the range of 300 to 400,000 vehicles per year produced and sold. So those are some very big numbers, and it's a very important market of vehicles out there. And so we look forward to seeing this actually happen. And we also look forward to the fact that Tesla has been able to get to market fast enough that the patents that they can't protect will no longer be an issue. So as you've noted, slim to no data being offered, and I think that'll continue to be the case. And the data you will get on the Tesla Semi is, once there are a large number of them out there, owners might allow some folks to get on those trucks and collect data that they can't find right now, because Tesla is not offering the information they need in order to get closer to the vehicles and a knowledge of what they're doing. You could argue that this is actually bad news, because if in fact they were more open with information, it would allow those preparing to buy the vehicle to get organized. Well, the reality is that it's on a need-to-know basis. Tesla has a process going where if you don't need to know, then they ain't going to tell you. So large competitors need to know, but for those who are in the buying process, they've had an opportunity to visit and test drive the trucks on a regular basis for the last 3 years. So if in fact they had concerns, obviously they would not buy, but I do believe that based on those companies have an opportunity to test drive the vehicles and to have their consultants evaluate the viability of those vehicles, it's not a real problem right now that the Semi is not viable. The problem is that Elon has refused to reveal the kind of data necessary to replicate what Tesla's doing. And so congratulations to Elon and Tesla for getting the Semi out successfully. Congratulations on having it out there roaming the country. One other Semi note that is minor but major based on our last Semi show is there's a process where the Tesla Semi is not just operating within Northern California. Currently, it's actually doing runs deep into Southern California and even into Arizona, as we saw during the Super Bowl. The question had come up, how is it that the truck is in motion if there are no current mega chargers waiting for the truck? Well, the answer is the service centers. It turns out that the cable necessary for the Semi to recharge at a service center rides with the truck. So the operating range and location for this Semi is actually much larger than just where Frito-Lay's charging facilities are. They can go to the service center and in off hours get charged up so they can run from there. Any rate, I just thought this was useful as a back end to our last show on the Semi. We very much look forward to your comments on everything related to the Semi, including how the patent process works and why it is Elon is being very secretive about what's going on with the Semi currently. Our final item we wanted to cover today is our usual health tips. Now, I have to say that right now, I'm really working on the 20 minutes a day, every day, sort of power walk or exercise as a way to maintain mental and physical health. I want to encourage you to consider that as well. Also wanted to encourage you to consider the 25 leg lifts a day per leg with a 5-pound weight as a way to limit the issues you might have with your knees, etc. We also know that there are doctors watching us as well that have specialties. If you have suggestions, etc., would also encourage you to share in that regard. Any rate, this is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Tschüss, German, au revoir, French, Lehithro, Hebrew, Choda Hafez, Farsi, Zdravstvuyte, Russian, Ni hao ma kambawa, Ni hao Chinese, Namaste, Hindi, Arrivederci, our friends in Italy that have asked us to mention this. And in Jamaica, we say enough respect, walk good, man. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, and bye for now. Final views of Annapolis and the waterway onto the Chesapeake.